Hi everyone. I wasn't sure how many people are going to join the live, but I really wanted to do this one. It's really fun, and I haven't done a live in a long time. So I thought this would be good. What I'm going to do is there's some little prep up before we actually get to making our. Oh, sorry, I've got a call. Just give me a moment. I think I should put this off. Just a minute. Okay. So, is there something wrong with my video? Can everyone hear me? I mean, a thumbs up would help. Someone to tell me if you can hear me. Okay. So, who do we have here today? Shreya? Shreya. Oh, hi Shreya. Nice to see you. Ah, my mom's joined too. Hi Emma. So I was having fun with line art. We could call this a lot of things actually, not just line art. It's sometimes called ink illustrations, florals in ink. Basically the point is we are doing all of this with pen, right? With ink, and not we're not ideally using. Usually, if you're just going to leave this as flowers and leaves, you wouldn't even add the color. So the whole thing would be just ink. In my case, I use waterproof ink. I'm not sure if everyone knows of this. I will show you what I use. These are the Sakura Pigma Micron pens. I can show you a few. I also have another brand that I use quite frequently, and that's the Uniball. I think it's Uniball? Yeah, Unipin. Yeah. So you'll notice that I have several sizes. So the good thing about these pens, and this is something that you should probably know before you start any sort of ink related art, is that you are using ink that is water resistant. Now this is important. Why? Because I've had this instance where I've nearly done the entire thing in something like a gel pen, and then when you apply paint to it or any liquid to it, it just smudges. The whole thing just smudges, and then it's just a mess. In such cases, if you don't have a waterproof ink, what you should do ideally is, let's say, draw your shapes in pencil, color them, and then use the non-waterproof ink over the color or over the paint, once it's dried. So that would be the option. But if you can, you should consider having at least one or two sizes of these micron pens. So if you notice, these micron pens have got sizes written on the body of the pen itself. So here is a 0.8. All these indicate the size of your nib, right? So you have a 0.8, which is rather big for me, but you also have all these fine lines that you see. Now you will notice, I should show you some of the fine lines I see here. Okay, is anyone else not able to hear me, or am I just talking to myself here? Is anyone else able to hear me, rather? Is anyone else able to hear me? Okay, let me check. Hold on. Let me check what the problem is. I've got some work. I mean, it's not me, it's the neighbor that's got work happening. Okay, let's see if I can be heard. Can't be heard? Yeah, I think I'm audible. Amma, maybe just check your volume. Sometimes it's silly things like that. Anyway, so what was I talking about? I was talking about these fine liners. So I have a 0.8 and I have this. So if you look at this diagram here, I mean these florals here, you'll notice that the veins of these leaves are done very intricately, and that is only possible with a fine liner that has a 0.05. So look at the tip on that. I mean, you can barely see it, right? You can barely see that thing. So these kind of thin fine pens give you these fine lines that you want, and depending on, of course, what size you're using. So in this case I have I think suddenly I have all brush sizes. This is a 0.8, and then you have let me see, what's this, 0.3. all right, look at this. Yeah, this was 0.05. So these kind of tips are the ones that bring out all the illustrations. So I can show you examples of this. For example, if you look at this, most of the outlines are in a thicker pen, maybe a 0.5 in this case, or even a 0.5, 0.3, and then all my fine lines in between, I wouldn't use the same thick nib, the thick point, simply because I want it to be really fine. It is going to be many lines, and in the case of many lines, you don't want them to be thick and heavy looking, So that's where you get the goodness. I mean, the goodness of line art is basically in the usage of the right nib or the right fine liner for the right areas. Yeah, I can show you other things that. So these are some of my drawings or sketches using only fine liners, only ink sketches basically. Okay, so what we will do now is before you start any what do you call this, botanical illustration, for that matter, anything actually, you need to know what kind of flowers you would like to have, and if you're using sketch pens or colors to go over these flowers, you have to also consider what colors you would like to use, right? This is an alphabet M that I tried with pink flowers, pink and purple and yellow flowers. I'll show you an S. I really like this combination. So the color combination really matters. You have to have the right kind of colors sitting with each other, right? So in this case, for example, I like this yellow and orange combination of two flowers. So I have used two flowers in this composition, and two types of flowers and two types of leaves, just to bring out some, each flower stands out better when you have some other type of flower next to it, or another color next to it. So this was that sort of a combination I was going for. You can also stick to one color flower and one kind of leaf, as you would see in this example, which I loved really. I really like this a lot. These are just your peony flowers, and all I've done is use peonies in different flowering stages. So you have full bloom, face turned towards you, buds, and we've kept the color consistent. It's just pink color with slight shading. You'll notice a slight shading I was able to add. Now the reason I could add shading here is because I'm showing faces of the flower at different angles. In this kind of an illustration here, you notice that it's more 2D, right? We're just using flat flower shapes. In such cases, it is not necessary to really put in the shading. It looks quite nice the way it is without the shading too. But if you are going to have flowers with at different angles, a little bit of shade would bring some interest to the composition. Also the leaves. Now I don't have another set of leaves, so this composition is just one flower and one leaf, and we're just doing one line of it, so this too looks quite nice. There's nothing wrong with this. This also can look like a very lovely product, very lovely end product, and the point is that you don't need too much color. Okay, you can have the whole thing without any color and it will still look very pretty, very, very pretty. All right, so so that, like I said, before we start, you want to kind of identify what flowers you want in your composition, and if you're going to add colors, what colors you'd like to give those flowers and leaves. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, we'll start off with some sample flowers that we can, simple flowers. The thing with these kind of illustrations is we are not trying to replicate a real flower. It has to look like a rose, it has to look like a peony. No, we are just trying to get some sort of consistency in the flowers we are using. Okay, so they look like a flower, they have some petals. It could be 4, 5. 5 is obviously a very odd number of petals, is always very appealing. So, but that doesn't mean there aren't flowers that have less or more, even number of petals. So what we'll do today, we're going to do some flowers before we start a composition. I'll do an alphabet today, but before we do the alphabet, let's try to identify a few flowers and see which ones we'd like to have in our composition. And the other thing is, we have one flower which takes the prominence, which is basically larger very often, and also probably not just larger, even color wise, you may pick the brighter color or a particular color too. It may be more frequent in number, if you have in your composition. So we're going to pick a main flower, principal flower, primary flower, and then you're going to pick a secondary flower. And the secondary flower, we could make it smaller. It's not necessary, we can keep it large too, but we're trying to kind of identify two flowers that look slightly different from each other. If their shapes kind of overlap, in the sense that you have round petals for one and round petals for the other, sometimes the distinction between the two flowers is not very clear. Alright, so let's just draw some flowers right now. Okay, I'm going to use size 8 is a little big. Let's say I'll use maybe a 5. Yeah, I'll use a 0.5. Okay, I'm using a 0.5. And I'm going to try some flower shapes. Very simple, like we've drawn in school, nothing that's too difficult. Okay, a center, and we can do this sort of a flower, a 5-petal flower. All you need to kind of show is a relative proportion. Right? You're just trying to keep some sort of proportion, and you are going to maintain that across the same flower wherever you place it. So to make this flower maybe a little more interesting, I'm going to add these lines. Okay. So this is one type of flower. The other type of flower we could consider is maybe again a center, but this time maybe I can make it a dark center. Okay. And we can have something like this. Yeah, okay. We can maybe make the anthers look nice by having dots, pollen, sorry. And these lines, if I use the same 0.5, it could end up looking a little thick. So let's take a 0.05. Okay, a 0.5 is really small, so it looks fine, yeah. So this sort of flower is also quite pretty. Very simple and quite pretty. Hi Anuja, so nice to see you here. Fiona's here too. Hi Fiona. Lovely to see everyone. Awesome. So we're just doing some flower samples out here. So this was another type of flower. Now we can take the same flower and make some adjustments to it. Okay. So I'm going to do away with the center black. I'm going to keep it white centered, and I'm going to do the same leaves. All right, same petals. Sorry, the same petals, but with a slight difference. I'm going to go around this one more time. All right. I don't suppose any real flower looks this way, but that doesn't matter, right? So you have another flower, and this is pretty too. Now a very simple flower like a daisy, something somewhat like a daisy, would be let's say a dark center. Okay, this is all freehand, so this is something that really I mean, it helps us get rather comfortable being not having something like a skeletal drawing before we actually ink something. So try doing this with just to identify flowers, or to have a repository of flowers. Do this freehand and see what how it turns out. Sometimes you get inspiration from the mistakes you do make. Alright, so I'm going to try something like a daisy. It's not really even, if you notice. Okay, I wouldn't call it a daisy, but something like a daisy. Alright. Hi Mariam. Hey, Alka's joined too. Ah, awesome. Okay, so we have a daisy-like flower here. Any other flowers we'd like to try? Maybe, okay, let's try something a little pointy. Alright, let's have some pointy edges. Okay, something like this. Oops, there you go, mistake. And this is a very uneven flower. Not good, but it's workable. Okay, if you want to make these are kind of 2D flowers. Okay, you can choose to make something like not I wouldn't say 3D, but definitely flowers that are at an angle. Okay, and for those maybe we could consider something like the peony. So the peony on a side would be somewhat like this. Okay, it's got these center pollen, yeah, and then it's got this sort of a structure. You may have an extra bunch of petals too. Sorry about the noise, everyone. There's solid drilling happening at the back. Yeah, this is kind of one angle. Oh yeah, Mariam, a simple rose is also actually one of the many options. You know what? A really simple rose would be somewhat like this. And this looks beautiful too in a composition, for a monogram or something like this. And that's fine too. It actually looks quite nice. I can show you at the end what I've done with just an alphabet, just 1 or 2 roses on a single alphabet, and writing out a full name that way. So yeah, these are your flat ones, these are your turned up ones. So you may also have the same sort of a peony, but with more front facing. Your angle is a little more. So you have something like this, and you can have the curve. Right, so there's your opened out peony. You can have this sort of a view. You can have a bud. So for example, here's there's your thing. You can have a bud that is quite a bud, you know, not even open, a peony bud. You can have a slightly open bud. So let's assume we have sometimes I end up, you know, going off the screen. Should be more conscious. Alright, so there's a peony bud which I'm trying to indicate is opening up in some way. Yeah, so these are flowers we would like to show in at some angle. Now having these, you have to decide which way you want to go. Ideally we wouldn't mix flowers of this sort, right? We wouldn't want flat flowers and angular flowers in the same composition. So that's something you have to keep in mind before starting. Here's about flowers. Let's talk about some leaves. Common leaf, very common leaf, everybody's leaf, favorite leaf. Yeah, and this comes in all sorts of sizes. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. Right now, what you can do with these is you can add the stems, the veins, very in a very smart way. So you can have stems like veins like this. Why am I calling it stems? Veins like this. You can have entire thing covered in veins. Okay, you could have even let's try just one side. Okay, you notice how nice it looks when you have just the fine liner, the really fine line for the veins. It just brings it out, you know. So these are different options for your leaves. For a very plain leaf, I can go for a leaf that's more fancy. For example, let's say something like this. Yeah, something with curves. You can have those long leaves. Yeah, so leaves again, you can have filler leaves which are actually quite pretty. I use these often to fill up spaces where I may not be able to fit a flower and yet I want some balance. Yeah, leaves like this. You can have the same thing but in color, so that means the leaf is entirely darkened while you are drawing it. So this looks good too. It's all a balance. At the end of the day, whatever you do, the prettiness lies in some sort of a balance. Yeah. So here are some leaves. So now to make our alphabet today, I'm going to try. I like these. Okay, I mean I'm just biased towards these sort of flowers. They actually look like, have you noticed? They look like the Sakura logo. So funny, huh? It's like, yeah, something like that. So I love these flowers, so I'm going to try these, and with that I'm going to pair a leaf. Okay, that is my primary flower. I'm going to go and put a secondary flower. Now what happens is, if I take this and this, other than the mild change in the petals shape, there's not a significant difference. Yeah, so if I'm going to go and use this as my secondary flower, I might want to make it smaller. Okay, so when I say smaller, something like this is my primary flower and I'd like to do this with my secondary flower. Yeah, so there is some sort of a clear division between those flowers. They are not the same, or they might not by mistake be considered the same, right? So this may be a good combination. Another combination is I can take maybe this and this sort of a flower and have the same daisy like thing as the side flower. So let's look at a smaller side flower that looks like a daisy, somewhat like a daisy. Yeah, so I'm going for a composition that has two flowers in it, and I can actually pick this and this, or this and this. And for a leaf, I can pick maybe, what should I pick? Maybe this one or this one. Yeah, this probably looks nice. Okay, let's see what looks nice. Let's see. Sometimes when you draw is when you realize, okay, I'm going to put one leaf here, I'm going to put one leaf here, and I'm going to see which looks better. You never know until you've tried. Okay, that's one type of leaf we said, and the other is all the veins. I'm going to show all the veins. Let's see. Somehow I'm biased towards this. I don't know why. I just like it all filled up, I think. I'm not sure. Okay, so I think I'll go with that leaf, and then I want to now have some filler elements. So shall I go with this? Or does it look better if I did this? So I'm starting to see that the leaf here and the petal here are kind of somewhat like each other, right? Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe this, you know, just to fill up the space. So you see, that's how you decide whether you feel better, comfortable with this or with this, you know. Okay, so that's one option. So now coming to this, suppose I wanted to select one for this. Let's say I did the long leaf. Okay, so I can do this. Yeah, I think it looks good. And for the small one, I could consider doing, okay, there are other leaf options, you know. I mean, I'm just restricting it to, you can do things like this, right? This looks nice. Yeah, okay. So what shall we go with? Shall we go with this or shall we go with this? I haven't done this, you know. So let's try this. I haven't done this kind of comment. This is still done once. So let's try this. Okay. So we're going to take this and we're going to, oh, we have to do one more thing. We have to figure out our color combination. So if you're going with this, and I'm biased, you know, I'm mostly biased towards reds, oranges, pinks actually, pinks. But we've already done that. So shall we do yellow and red? Red is a little bright, no? What other combination? So these are just sketch pens. I mean, not brush, sorry, brush pens. But you can use sketch pens. You can use a lot of different things. I think I'll go with. Do we ever have blue flowers? Blue is a bit too bright. Okay, I think we'll go with orange and red. How about that? Okay, maybe a little too bright. Orange and yellow, but I have already done orange and yellow, right? This is orange and yellow, yeah. Okay, let's do oh, red and pink. No, red and pink, too bright. Pink and purple. Pink and purple, yeah, pink and purple sounds good. Purple's too bright. Let's just see. Yeah, okay, I don't mind this. Purple flowers, purple secondary flowers, and then we have these pink ones. Okay, this is very bright because these are, I'm using you know, sketch pens and brush pens, and the ink is always just very vibrant, but you don't have to. You can, like I said, leave this absolutely as is without color. It looks just as pretty. And here you go. I'm going to give this a green and a dark green. Should I do a dark green or should I do testing colors really? Maybe, let's see, this is not bad. Okay, vibrant. No other word for it. Okay, let's do this. Did my M turn out the same way? Look at me, biased I am. Let me just check one more thing. Oh, this is not bad. This is not bad. I like the red and orange combination. Okay, red and orange it is. I want something different. On to the part that's interesting. Now, we are going to do an alphabet, and I'm wondering, hey Ratu, I'm wondering what alphabet to do. We've done M, I've done S. What shall I do? H, B is a good alphabet. I haven't done B, so let's try B. If you're going to do an alphabet, remember we need a skeleton on which our flowers will be arranged. So drawing that skeleton, make sure that you make it nice and big, yeah, in pencil. Now what one more thing that you have to remember is the way we arrange these flowers. I like to do them, you can of course arrange them all like in a straight line, flower leaf, things like that, you know, and have a single thickness. But I also like having yeah, Ritu, I've already done an R. I'll show you that R at the end. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, if I'm going to do this B, instead of having the singular line B, I'd like to have a certain thickness to it. Okay, so let's assume we have the thicker section here and a thinner section here. Maybe a little bulbous around this part, you know, how we would write our alphabet B as with a thickness. So if you kind of maintain this, what we're trying to do is we're going to have a big bunch of flowers here, which could be even 2 flowers thick at certain places, and then over here we keep it rather thin. Maybe over here you could have a little thickness. Okay, so the reason I'm saying that is it just makes the whole thing take a little more, I mean, less no, I wouldn't say flat, but just a little more pleasing, you know. So you see the thickness to the M here. Similarly for the S, I brought in a thickness at this point, just like the alphabet is, you know, when we write it for lettering. So I'm going to try that with this B. So what you're going to do is first make sure that your B is straight, which is something I can't figure and I'm not looking at it. Yeah, okay. Keep the pencil mark as light as possible. This is just a guide. You just want to know where the flowers have to go so that they don't end up wonky, you know. This is your guide. That's it. Okay, and then we start off straight with ink. Now another thing that's really good to kind of do is placement of your flowers. So you have the big flowers, and I'm going to start with like a prominent place. Okay, so I'm going to have one big here, and maybe another medium sized here, and then another big over here, and one more big here, and then maybe a medium size here, and another big over here for sure. Definitely one big here, one medium here, one medium here, one over here, medium. Okay, so these are the placements for my big flowers. Okay, and then I want to place my medium sized flowers, which are the smaller ones. Okay, so sorry, not medium, the small flowers. So I'm going to place probably a one here, one here. I'm going to let me put them as triangles. Okay, so I'm going to place one here, one here, one here, two here. Okay, and maybe three here, maybe three here, yeah, and then one here, and here we could probably have 1, 2, just to make the thickness come in. One here, probably one here, or maybe not, you know. This may be, why am I putting a star? We could put one here, maybe closer to this. So this gives you an idea of the placement, and then your leaves will fill in the rest. Okay, so we don't have to worry so much about this. This is just for, again, just to guide you so that you don't end up at the end looking back and thinking, oh, it is not looking balanced, big ones are a little too much on this side, that side, things like that. Okay, all right, I'm going to go with 0.5. and I'm going to start my first flower. So my big flowers are those sakura type of flowers. So they have a black center, and I'm going to start here. Oh, here, yeah, here. Okay, so I have my black center, and then you have, and don't worry too much about the petals. If they're a little off, they're a little off, and that's all. In the grander scheme of things, it's going to be fine. I have a slightly smaller one here. I don't want to make it too big. You can see it's a little lopsided. My center could be better. Okay, then I have one here which is going to be huge. All right, and then we can have one here which is going to be not so huge. The point is that you're going to have to see that they look like flowers of a particular type, you know, and they kind of look like they belong to one family or one type. That's all you're trying to achieve. Okay. Did we say one here? No, we said no. We said one here. Okay, so let's make a nice big one there. And then one here, which I'm going to make a little bigger than normal, than the medium one, slightly bigger. Adjust the size of flowers just to make it very, you know, I won't call it organic, but at least not to bring in monotony. Yeah, did we say one more here? Yes, we did. So this is not going to be very big. I'm going to keep it small. Okay, big one's done. We're going to go on to our what did we say? Oh yeah, we said these rounder flowers. Okay, so these ones are going to have centers like this and rounds like this. We are not going to make them bigger than this. Okay. Oh, 6. I drew 6. Okay, so we're going with 6. See, now that wasn't the plan, right? That wasn't the plan, but I wasn't thinking. So I'm going to just stick to this now. 6 petals apparently. Let me put one here. Oh, we had put one here. Oh, I expected to put a, sorry, I forgotten to put one big one here. Sorry, I didn't realize I erased off that. It was supposed to be a big one here. Okay, and next to it we're going to have our and some here. So don't place them one after the other, like in a line. Around each other like this is always nice. Yeah. Okay, so we are leaving not too much space for leaves. They will fit in. You know, that's the whole point. The leaves are going to sit around wherever you ask them to sit. That's the job of the leaf. Okay, we said we want one here. They could overlap. This is nice about flowers. You can have a flower that's sitting under another flower, so don't hesitate to do that. Look at my leaves, look at my petals, they're just so uneven. Okay, yep. Okay, we're going to add in a few more fillers later, secondary flowers later. Let's go on to our petals now. Leaves. What's wrong with me? Leaves. Now the leaves here that we've decided are those longish leaves, so we're going to have to be a little careful fitting them within the line of the bee, the structure of bee. So let's try something like this. Okay, we want to keep the structure of the alphabet. Okay, and we are going to kind of consider that these are the petals of the flower, that is the larger flower, or the primary flower. Okay, so keeping that in mind, they have to come out of the primary flower, right? So that is a good way to decide how to place them. You can have smaller leaves at times, bigger leaves. And these are the ones that will kind of turn your corners very well. Now be very careful, you don't want them to come out too much. You know, so if I draw a petal out of here, it kind of ruins the shape of the bee, right? So just be careful about that. There you go. You're still kind of keeping a form. The alphabet has to be, you have to see it, right? You have to see the alphabet. And if you do want to have it at places like this, they can hide partially, you know, and not jut out too far. That is also an option. Okay. All right. So can you see the shape of the bee kind of slowly coming through? Yeah. Now I'm going to kind of break my rule a bit, and since we don't have a flower here, a main flower here, I'm still going to have a leaf put in, so that this curve doesn't have too much of the other leaf. Okay. All right, this was one leaf. Then the other leaf that we decided to do was the little okay, let's start from an area that is not so, doesn't need too much of a filler leaf. So I'm going to take one from here, sticking out a bit. Okay, this is the kind of filler leaf that we wanted to fill here. Let's try somewhere here, not too far, because you are keeping the shape of the bee. Okay, there goes out one. Yeah. Okay, now let's try something here. And these can be nice and curvy if you want them to be, you know. That's, remember, they're fillers. The whole point of the filler is to fill in. Sometimes when you're putting these filler leaves, you might think you want to actually have a flower instead, or a bud. So buds are also a good option. Now for example here, maybe a bud would not be a bad idea. But I'm going to keep it kind of like the filler flower itself. So here I'm starting to see a little gap. Let's make this longer. Yeah. Now here, let me bring it out of this flower for this one. You know. Okay. So this is going to happen at constantly, because you don't know which direction you want the leaves to really move, right? You have flowers going all over the place. So what is most important to maintain is try and get the leaf coming out of a flower. Oh, is the video really bad? Clarity is looking awful on my screen. Should I? Oh, there it is. Okay. Continuing. Now I'm going to get these fillers out of here. And let's say one out of here. Some out of here. You could have okay, let's just fill it up with leaf fillers. I haven't tried these fillers before, you know, to be honest, these wiry ones, but there's always a first time. Okay, what shall we do here? We can definitely have filler here. Now here is a slight problem. Maybe we can have it come out of very awkward. You know, coming out. You can have one here. You could have one coming out of here. But it has to come out from something. It can't be suspended in air. Let's take one going out here. Tricky. So I'm going to have stalks. Maybe one coming out of here. Okay, anything missing? There you go. So our bee looks like a bee. Now this is where you kind of sit back and you look at it and you think about proportion. Anything missing, anything needs some attention, stuff like that. Okay, to me this looks more or less okay. I have it as broad as I wanted. Oh, maybe here, yeah, just to maintain the thickness of this line. Okay, this is the only reason why I'm adding these here. Yeah, yeah, kind of making them a little thick, this line a little thick. Yeah, okay, so I'm done with this. I have a few minutes left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently erase off any little lines I see, and not much. I mean, I really don't need to erase too much, as long as there is no line going through the big white spaces. That's all I'm aiming for, really, and don't need to erase too much. Because once we put the ink, once we put the sketch pen over it, it's just going to, there's no way to take out the line, then you just feel bad about it. So I'm just like literally knocking the eraser over certain portions, and yep, this looks good. Okay, and I'm going for the combination I was really pumped about. It is going to be an odd orange and red with a green. Okay, and although now if this was watercolor or pencil colors, you could get these lovely light shades. Instead, now because I'm using those these sketch pens, nothing is lovely and soft about these, so that's something I have to deal with. So if you really want to make something that's a little mellow, pastel kind of, please do use pencil colors or use watercolors, and you can get the effect you want. But for today, you're stuck with a nice vibrant bee. All right, so the big flowers are going to have, oh, what, did I miss something? Yep, I did miss something. My most important the reason I love these flowers, right? I said I love these flowers because of these. Very important. So now the small ones, I'm not going to put 2 of these everywhere. Okay, let me finish this off. Dots, they just make the flower look so pretty. Simple charm. Now these are so small, I really can't have too many. Big ones can have 2, small ones can have 1. Sorry, I have no music today, everything's just so quiet. Oh, thank you, Asha. As long as I'm making sense, I have achieved what I meant to achieve. Where is it? There it is. My fine liner 005 or 0.05 it's what adds magic, makes these flowers so pretty. Just look at that. Who knew such simple things can be the best? Like little mosquito legs. Mosquito leg thin, or feet. It's funny. Oh, thank you, Sapna. This is really simple. Actually, it doesn't take so long. It's only taken so long because I'm talking. When I don't talk, I'm usually faster, way faster. Not that you should do anything fast. I do not advocate doing anything fast. You mustn't just aim to finish. You must aim to do it well. But yeah, it is faster when I don't talk. All right, there you go. my flowers that look like sakura flowers. And off to coloring, which I love. Ayo. And this is just like childhoodly. You remember how it used to feel in school, coloring up anything that had an outline? This is like that. The therapy in this, there is therapy in this. A lot of comfort in it. May sound silly, but it really does work. Filling up neatly within the lines. I was so amazed when I was, when I was working earlier. I was, there used to be these stressful times. You have, how corporate work can be. So I used to look for things that were like stress busters. So you can only do Sudoku so much, you can't just sit at Sudoku all day. So I ended up finding coloring books for adults. Can you believe? Coloring books for adults. I was most amazed. Like, why would adults want to color? First of all, who has the time to color? Second of all, this is something we left behind in school. Why would you do it? But I did buy myself that coloring book once. And once you start, honestly, you can't stop. Just sitting and coloring for minutes and minutes and almost an hour was like so cool. Felt so nice. It was like a kind of color therapy or something. I don't know what it is. It just feels nice being neat. There you go. So this is where, when you add color, is where you can see the placement, how, the planning, the effort you took to plan, how it pays off. I know, those small lines, yeah. Now for our, so I like, you can use sketch pens. Sketch pens have those felt tip nibs or whatever, felt tips. And what I like those. We use those always. But these particular ones, these brush pens, what I like about them is the tip is so soft and it's like a brush. It although you are actually using sketch pen ink and stuff like that, you feel like you're using a brush because it's so gentle, the tip. So I end up, instead of using the sketch pen for these things, I end up using my brush pens. Effect is, the end result is still the same. It's the same kind of ink that's going onto your paper, and it will smudge the same way. So you have to be careful, but the tip is so soft. Somebody, hats off to my better half who has taken it upon himself to look after 3 kids while I have a life. Who could ask for a better husband? While takes care of the kids while the wife paints. All right, last part. So now we are going to have 2 shades of green, and the reason, really, it isn't so much shadow as much as we'd like to think it is. We're just doing it to kind of get that effect, but it's nice to know where you're placing the shadow, So the lower part of things, for example, are the darker portions. Now in vertical leaves like this, it's kind of hard to tell. But I'm just generally, I kind of take the upper one, becomes the lighter green, and the lower part of a leaf, lower half of the leaf. Oops, wrong way. Sorry. I'll color that up. So you see what I mean? This is the upper part and that's the lower part. Okay. Dark green, quickly. Okay. This is more just a kind of a color shock, with all these bright colors. Honestly, if you do it with watercolor, it's so pleasant. It looks so good. See there, I'm overlapping that green. Okay. There's your... Now these little things, you could do many things actually. You, instead of having this in black, you could have taken a brown sketch pen and drawn these, so then they look like brown twigs or something like that. Okay, so that's one option. Now for now I'm not going to change any of this. This is done. This is what my monogram, yeah, it's so hard to pronounce it the right way. B looks like. Yeah, you can add a little bit of shading if you are game for it. You can actually add some shading over here, just retouch. See what happens when you retouch these center portions. You get a slightly dark one, but again I find that better in flowers that are three-dimensional, or sorry, angular, placed at an angle. Kind of looks better, but no harm doing it here too. See, just adds a little more. One last thing I should not forget. I like to put little, take my glitter pen and put gold centers for these white ones. Okay, just, I mean, you probably can't see it on the video too well, but when you hold it up, it looks so nice in person. So there's my gold. Yep, and that's the bee that I have done. There you go. So simple, right? This is so simple and this is so pretty. When you finally do such things, it just looks so lovely. It makes a simple card come alive. And I want to show you, like, we have another, like, literally 2 minutes. I'm going to show you, you've seen this M, okay? So this was M with a different set of flowers altogether. I had this double outline and I decided not to give the outer part any color, things like that, all on this thing. Then I have this S, which is again a nice combination. I like the color combination here, really. I mean, not so much here, but definitely here, Then I can show you, now I wanted to show you, Ritu, you were saying about, I don't know if Ritu's still there, but yeah, that's true, Asha. A little sparkle really does go a long way. This is a like literally a paper bag, okay, and I'm going to probably use it for my daughter's something, which is why I did it R. And this is an art that I'm not going to color at all because it's on a paper bag. I don't know how my colors will work on paper bag, and it's fine. Even with just that, the pen, just look at it. It looks so nice. It's so lovely to give, instead of giving a paper bag, right? I mean, instead of giving a plain paper bag, you spend like about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and you have a really lovely end product. And then you have a card. So this is something I tried. I was doing all sorts of combinations. Okay, so I took now this card. This is a green card, and I took jelly roll pens. Okay, because black is going to just make it a whole lot darker. So I took a yellow pen and I did a similar sort of thing for a letter L. Now it doesn't probably look so bright in this light, but actually it is green with yellow, and it looks lovely. It must be looking white, right? No, it looks white on the picture, on the camera, but actually it's green and yellow, and it looks really nice. So those are the kind of things I did. So this is something I must say, oh Ritu, you're here. So there's your R. Happy? Here's an L, and I have to say I actually started this project to look at alphabet monograms, botanical monograms for gifting ideas. It was mostly because I wanted to gift a baby girl, a cousin of ours that has had a baby girl. I wanted to gift her a little frame that has her alphabet and her name on it, and that's what I did. So here's something. I haven't completed this. I am yet to put it into a frame, but this is what came off, what I wanted to do for it. It's very simple. Like, again, I've maintained a color, a single color, a flower, a single flower type, and a single set of leaves. But it just looks, it's simple and so lovely, and I'm going to probably put this on a yellow background. I'll cut this out. I cut out this E and put it on a yellow background or something like this and frame it, and it just looks amazing. It's a simple thing, really. It is so simple and it's so quick. You can try whatever color combination, something brighter if you feel it's a lighter yellow, whatever. I mean, a point is you can do what you want, but look at how simple a simple thing can be so pretty, and it's handmade. Who doesn't like something that's given, made by hand? So I hope this has inspired you to try some monograms yourself. Give it a go. Try some weird flowers. If you want some good options, you should probably try Pinterest. Okay, so Pinterest, if you go to Pinterest and you talk about and you look for, let's say, line art florals, things like that, these are just searches. You will get these kind of options where you have all sorts of flowers. I have a pin on mine. I mean, if you go to my Pinterest thing, so for line art I kind of keep these things ready. Okay, so it just makes it easy for you to identify flowers faster, identify which leaves you would like to kind of make, and it just gives you an option to like look at this. This is so cool to to kind of figure out which flower, what should I do, how should I do it. I was talking about a rose. Somebody was asking about a rose, so I wanted to, this is for Varsha, my friend Varsha. I made this. This is just roses. Okay, this is just like 2 roses on every alphabet, and I just made her name. Look at the rose. This is just a squiggle rose. It's a rose because I call it a rose. So it just looks so lovely. 2 of each and some leaves and the alphabet going through it, and you have something really pretty, right? So please do try, and if you need any help, anything, any assistance, any want to check on something, some difficulty, feel free to DM, drop in a message, call me, WhatsApp, whatever. Happy to help if it helps. And I hope you have fun making your own your own monograms. Please do share if you do make any. Please do share. I'd love to see your work. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. I had fun. I hope you did too. Bye.